So, welcome back. Are you feeling a little refreshed after the referral partner stuff? Who here gets a little excited now about the idea of building referral partners? Anyone? I know it's an exciting thing because really, this is the place where you'll skyrocket your clientele. In fact, the reason we started off with the lecture demos is because that's the quickest, easiest way to get clients. It requires more involved work to get the farmers to come and talk to you, and then to open it up so you can go to them and so on, right? Mm-hmm. But once you have that, you'll start having a few clients come in, you're starting to pay the bills, and you'll feel good as a hypnotherapist or as a coach because you're seeing clients and getting some cash in. After that, once you have that sort of stable platform to work off of, you want to start turning your attention towards building referral partners, which is a more long-term strategy. So you'll do a little bit of the lecture demo stuff to keep going and ticking over, and then some referral partners, so this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Suddenly your referral partners take off and send you a flood of clients, and so you'll be doing less of the lecture demos and more of the referral partners because now you're really busy with this sort of stuff. And eventually you'll get to where we'll get to on day 4, where you have so many clients, you can no longer see them all. And now you need to break through that ceiling so you get through to how do you replicate yourself? How do you do more than just your time that you have available? And that's what day 4 is going to be all about. Does that make sense to you all? Can we have a quick microphone over here?
So do you advise that we make products and all of that now?
Let's talk about on day 4.
Okay. We can just leave that microphone up here.
Just leave it up here. We may as well, because you ask a lot of questions. And by the way, I don't mind. These are actually very useful for everyone too. Yep. Is everyone good so far? Any other questions? All right. Oh, sorry, over here. Just, pass it back over there.
That previous model that you just had drawn up there with all the circles and everything,
yeah.
Do you find that works well with social media avenues? Because as a magician, out of nowhere, I got like 10 referrals in a week from Twitter. Yep. But everyone just goes, oh, they're from Twitter, and they didn't know farther than that. So do you think with social media, it ever hits like a dead end of trying to backtrack where they get their information and stuff?
Oh, right. So if they said on Twitter, who on Twitter?
Well, there's just different people, but then I'll send them a message or something like, oh, how'd you hear about me? And then I never hear back, so it's just...
So, yeah, I guess...
Thanks for the referral.
In certain cases, it might be a dead end. With those client referrals, the best you can do is, face-to-face interaction sometimes, and they may not be able to give you information, but, I guess that's life. Sometimes you'll hit a dead end there, and they won't be able to give you the information, or sometimes they won't even know. They're like, I really don't remember how I figured out where you are. You're like, that's right, you don't remember. But I can help you do that. I have a service that'll help you do that, right? So, that's life. Unless Igor has anything to add.
No, that's life. You cut your losses and you do your best to catch up with.
So I've spoken to a couple doctors already, and
Good for you.
Presented some research to them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are interested, but I'm not getting referrals or anything like that. Or do I need to keep going?
Thank you. Well, let me. Amir, you are a wonderful human being, and you know why? How would you like to have an answer to the implied question Amir just presented to us? Would anyone like to have the answer to that? Really, because what you're really asking, if I haven't misunderstood you, is how do you train your referral partner to actually refer people to you?
Yes.
Isn't that the question?
Yes.
Is that not a question worth answering?
Yes.
What would you do, Joe?
Well, there happens to be a process that I use to train referral partners about you and to be a referral partner. Ooh. So, let's say that you have met a referral partner, and they may have sent you 1 or 2 people. So I start off a conversation with these people. Remember, we're building a relationship here.
Should we just role play with them so they get a chance to do it?
Let's do that.
Why don't you guys all find one partner to do this with? So just team up with someone, touch them on the hand, make sure that you've got a partner. All right, so what we'll do is, I'll be Dr. Johnson. I've always wanted to be a Dr. Johnson. See,
there you go.
I went to the University of Life, and I have my doctorate now, and I can now perform operations. Oh, yeah. Woo! Who needs a kidney removed? I have a butter knife somewhere. So
I'm not seeing too many hands go.
yeah, I know. That's one of my negative yes sets. It's a secret technique. So I'll be the doctor, and let's say I've sent Joe a couple of patients. I kind of like him. I've sent him 1 or 2 smokers. Nothing major. And Joe's decided that I might make a good referral partner. He's now going to have the conversation with me that you've been asking about. Would that be fair to say? Yeah? So the way I think we'll do it is, if Joe does the first step of the process, then we'll let you guys do it with each other. You'll do it both ways. We'll come back, and then we'll do the second step and so on. That way you'll have the whole conversation right along with us. All right, guys? Sound good?
All right, so the first step is building rapport. And this is just small talk, right? So, hi, Dr. Johnson. I, really loved helping your patient the other day. Remember the one that, you removed his kidney with the,
Oh, yeah.
with the knife there? Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
A nice big little kidney.
And-
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Baked it in a pie.
Yeah. So, he had some really great results with helping him stop smoking.
Oh, great. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to go on to the next step. So that's really the first step.
Just build rapport. All you're doing is starting a conversation. Can you all do that? Off you go. Have 20 seconds apiece, no more than that. Okay, so was that easy? Right? I mean, a hypnotist, you should have great rapport skills by now. So in the middle of the conversation, I think I was somewhere around.
That's right. So the next step is sort of a value exchange, right? I want to acknowledge them for the value that we may have both been sending each other. And again, remember, this is Dr. Johnson. He sent me a couple clients. So, the simplest way to say that is, hey, I just want to thank you, Dr. Johnson, for really sending me those clients. They did really well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for taking good care of them. Their lungs are a lot clearer now. Next time I remove them, better lungs.
All right, you can sell them on the black market, too.
That's right.
All right. So is that an easy step, guys?
Yes. Off you go. Oh, you know what? It's so easy. Why don't you start off with a 2-second version of rapport and then go on to doing the acknowledgement, which takes about 5 seconds. So we'll come back here in about 20 seconds time, okay?
Pretty easy to say thanks, right? Is the conversation starting to flow pretty nicely? All right, so this is going a little bit toward Amir's question. What if you haven't really gotten clients from somebody yet? Would you guys like a quick way of figuring out what to say instead of saying thank you for sending me clients?
Thank you for sending clients. What clients?
Yeah, I haven't sent you any clients yet. So we've already built some rapport. We've talked and said, hey, Dr. Johnson. And so instead of acknowledging, because there's really nothing to acknowledge there, I figure out what they need. And if you remember back to those 4 questions that we have over here, those 4 questions are fantastic ways of figuring out what someone might need to be a referral partner. So I can simply ask something like, Dr. Johnson, what would be maybe one thing that would help your clients be twice as happy this year, do you think?
Well, I see a lot of people who smoke and they've tried everything. I've given them drugs after their eyeballs, and they keep smoking. So if I could figure out a way to actually get them to stop, that would solve a huge headache for me.
Oh, so what you're saying is you have a huge headache that you have, these clients that you just really want to stop smoking, but they don't.
Nope. I tell them, you keep smoking, you'll die, and they'll go, all right, I'll die. So it's not great.
Well, and that's it for that step. Is that easy, guys?
Easy?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Just
Go ahead.
spend literally a few seconds on that, and we'll come back.
Use a version of any one of those 4 questions. So these conversations are starting to flow nicely and easily, right? Pretty easy to have?
Who can visualize themselves in front of a doctor or a business owner, something like that, doing this kind of conversation? It's pretty straightforward, isn't
Nice.
it?
Good.
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 So where do you go from here?
Where do we go from here? Let's do a quick recap, and we're just going to go through all the way until our next step of figuring out what their ideal clients are. Okay? So, hi, Dr. Johnson.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome.
Check 1.
Yep. You know what? I'd really like to thank you for sending me all those clients you have with broken kidneys.
You're welcome. Check 2.
You know what? I have a question. Who do you really like to work with?
Oh, I have a real penchant for people who have very poor nutrition. You see, I'm an internist, I'm an internal specialist, and I have all these wonderful meters to measure breath analysis and so on. And I love using the machine. It's just I need more people who have problems with their, their guts and stuff so I can get my machine going. It's true.
All right. Sounds like a lot of good information. Do you guys think you could do that? Asking what their ideal client might be?
Off you go.
Off you go. Go ahead and do that.
Okay, guys, who's enjoying these conversations? Yes. Yes? Is it making sense? So you kind of get a sense of like, oh, this could really work, right? So let's have a look at how this whole thing might conclude, how we put it all together into one complete package. Actually, no, do you want to talk about what we're going to give them first, and we'll do the whole demo? Sure.
What we're going to give you in the last section here is we're going to create a shared vision, a commitment. And this doesn't have to be, a formal commitment in, legalese and everything else. You sign in blood and, you're now partners for the rest of your life. A lot of people have commitment issues like that anyway, right? So.
And now we know who they are.
Yeah. So an easy way to do that is to create a shared vision for the both of you to move forward so that you can help their clients and they can help yours. Sound like a pretty easy process, right? Well, would you guys like a demonstration? Yes. All right. Well, we're going to start over, and this time I'm just going to assume that I actually haven't gotten any clients yet, so I'll use this portion where I have to start asking some questions, okay? So, hi, Dr. Johnson.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
I am great.
Step one.
Yep, step one. So let's see. I'm curious. What strategies have you used to really help your clients to double their happiness this year?
Well, I wish I could tell you something happy, but really all I've done is given them more drugs.
Interesting.
Not happy about that, but what can I do, right?
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I wonder, what is your ideal client?
My ideal client, it's those with the real gut problems. I have a machine, people blow into it, and it makes lights flash up. Looks like Star Trek. It's great. I want to use my machine. Some expensive salesperson made me buy it, and now I have to use this thing. And this happens, by the way. A lot of doctors have machines. Isn't that true? The doctor's going like, yeah. If only you knew what machines I bought.
Well, you know what? I see a lot of people with, gastrointestinal problems.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. It's very interesting. And I wonder if they could be helped by your analysis in your machine.
I think so. I mean, there's no one who knows what's going on in the guts unless you actually make them blow into the tube and analyze the gases.
Well, and I remember you said that you've been giving people a lot of drugs, and they're quite unhappy with that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of processes that can make people just feel happy in general.
Really?
Yeah. And I have a bunch of clients that probably could use some gastrointestinal analysis. They have a lot of, breath. And it's very annoying in my sessions. I wonder...
By the way, did you know that's true? Halitosis is actually a gut problem.
Yep, it is.
True fact.
That's a fascinating fact for all of you? Yes. So I wonder, what if we, going forward, could help each other out? I could send you a bunch of clients that have horrible, horrible breath.
Oh, yes!
And you could send me all of your clients that, maybe they're a little down, and I could help them be happy. Would that sound good to you?
That sounds fantastic to me.
All right. Well, is that easy, guys?
Yes. Marriage made in heaven. Yes, I think we deserve it. Come on.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, just take a couple of minutes and have that kind of conversation with each other, and we'll come back and we'll follow up from there. How'd that go, folks? Was that easy? So really, as you can see, it's only a simple 4-step process. First, you build rapport, right? What do? Rapport. Right. Then you exchange value. What do? Exchange value. That's right. Now, you can do that by just acknowledging and thanking them for people they've sent you already, or you can ask your 4 questions to identify a need that they might have, right? So you exchange value, then you ask about the ideal client. Who do you ask about? Come on, guys, please, really? What do you ask about? Ideal clients. You see, that's the attitude that gets you business results, right? And finally, you have a shared vision. You come to a shared vision. What do you come to?
Shared vision.
So what do you start with? Rapport. What do you look for then? Value. What do you do then? Ideal client. And then? Shared vision. So So what's the first thing you do? Then? Have you got that? Are you sure? All right, let's find out. What's the first thing you do? Then what do you do? Then what do you do? Then what do you do? Is that easy? All right. Quick question over here. Can we have a mic, please? Oh, I have a mic.
We got a mic up here.
Here we go.
Thank you. Could you do another example for us where you're not in a position to refer clients back?
Oh,
For example, if someone's new in a town, they've just been dropped in, that they don't know people yet to refer to the doctor. Could you give us a different example of giving
Sure.
value back to the doctor?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's pass it forward. Should we just skip to that stage? Okay, go ahead.
so we've already.
Hi.
Hi, you know, everything.
I
know-
declined halitosis.
Right. And your question was, just so I.
So we have no clients yet.
So I have no clients to refer to him.
So we didn't even ask the question. So what is it? I mean, let's put it this way. All you go is to ask one of the 4 questions. What will double your business this year? Oh, if I could really help my clients feel happier without drugs, that would be a real big help to me. So we just answered that question, right? We're on step 2, right? Let's go here. You know what? Let's just do a quick thing from the start, just so that he has the full thing. Hi.
Hi.
Great. Number 1, right?
You know what? What would double your clients' happiness this year?
If they could overcome depression without drugs, that would be just such a great thing.
You know what? Who do you really like to see as a
Halitosis.
halitosis?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right?
You know, I don't have anybody that I know that has halitosis right now. Everybody has wonderful, wonderful
Shame.
breath. But you know what? I can really help a lot of your clients with all the drugs and stuff that you're giving them. I'm sure as a doctor, you know that that can be a little bit harmful, right?
Sure. I wish I could just find a better way, but I don't know. I don't know what that would be.
Well, I have some processes that can help people without drugs.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you have any medical journals to back up your claim?
I do right here in my briefcase.
Well, all right then.
Easy enough?
Done? I think he deserves that. Yes, go on. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
It's a good question.
But also, just to add, because I'm completely referral based and I don't necessarily send clients back, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But handwritten notes, appreciation,
Ooh.
literally, like attention is the most valuable thing you can give someone.
That's this thing here. You can do so much with
Yes. And it just needs to be a meaningful gift that comes from the heart,
Yeah.
and you'd be amazed at what happens.
Treat them
Yeah.
like you would a valued friend.
that. Absolutely.
Better than a valued friend because they're usually sending you money.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a friend who's a very, very busy hypnotherapist, and he does something very similar. He actually keeps a date of all the important life events of their referral partners, birthdays, anniversaries, and so on. He sends them a little card or sends them a little note saying, happy birthday, or, happy anniversary. I hope you and your wife are very happy together. Sometimes if he really knows them and says, oh, I know you really like this sort of restaurant. Maybe if you want to take your wife to this, well, here's a gift for you. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's just a really nice thing that says they're in your thoughts, right? Do you want to pass this over here, please?
And it can even be, strange, trivial things. Like my mother works in a dental office, which is, there's a few dentists who work in the office. And my orthodontist, who lives a few blocks up, or who works a few blocks up, he comes maybe once a week or once a month, and he brings these like kosher bagels because the people in the neighborhood are, it's a Jewish neighborhood, so people actually, he'll just bring dozens of bagels and just
Hand them
have
out.
bagels.
Beautiful.
You know,
So that you
it's
can
it
rot
could be
their
a
teeth
bottle of wine,
and fix them
pardon?
again?
Yeah.
Is that so you can rot their teeth and fix
them?
it again?
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. So you get the idea how you can form these relationships. All your life skills really fit into this whole process very nicely. It's just a natural extension of how we behave as human beings anyway, isn't it? Right? So we're just concentrating that on a specific purpose, which, let's put it this way. The fact that he is helping my depressed clients get off depression without the drugs actually helps me as a doctor. That is the value exchange, right?
Yeah.
Because I no longer have to be frustrated that I'm constantly prescribing drugs. I don't get any value out of prescribing drugs. It makes really no difference to me, right? So having a solution that's actually a solution makes me feel good because I'm in the business of being a doctor to care, right? And if that doctor is only in the position of a doctor to make money, which admittedly there's some are like that, then they're not going to be a referral partner anyway, so you may as well move on to someone who will be. Right? Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah. Cool? So the next question is, you have this referral partner now. Now you're seeing now he's sending you so many people, you don't even know what to do with them. Your phone is ringing off the hook. This is at a crucial point in your hypnotherapy practice or your coaching practice. Because handling that phone call will make or break the relationship. Just because they send them to you and they're eager to buy, you can put them off by how you handle that first conversation. Let me give an example. When I first started doing hypnotherapy, as I told you, I think, I'd phone up all the hypnotherapists in my area and I went to some of my tutors at the time to see them as a client, to see what the experience would be like. And I learned more about what not to do from these interactions than from any training I paid, tons of cash for. I'll give an example of what a typical conversation goes like. Ring, ring, hello? Yeah, sure. Is this so-and-so hypnotherapy? Yep. All right, well, I was just wondering, do you kind of work with this? Yep. All right, well, how much does it cost? Oh, it's 150 pounds. Oh, okay. Thank you. Click. Was that a valuable interaction? No. You can clearly hear that. Now, admittedly, I'm hamming it up a little bit. Not everyone is like that, but I have actually had conversations like that, and there are people who work like that on the phone. Your phone contact will be that is actually the start of your hypnotherapy process. The first time they're in perceptual range of you, your work is already beginning. So you want to handle that phone call as though you've already started your session. Do you see what I mean by this, guys? Yeah? In your guide, in your manual, we'll have a phone coaching process, which I'd like to take you through first before we let you get loose on the actual manual itself, so you actually internalize it. And there's a lot of important parts, thank you, there's a lot of important parts of the whole process that you need to take care of. So we're going to go through the role play in exactly the same way to extend that conversation to what happens when the client calls you. Is that cool with you guys? All right. So here's what happens typically when a client calls you. Ring, ring. Hello, this is the hypnotherapy clinic. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Joe, and I'd really like to stop smoking.
Great. So at this point, well, actually, normally they don't say that. They actually ask, how much do you stop smoking?
Do you stop smoking?
Absolutely, I do stop smoking.
How much is it?
That is the standard question. How much and how long? How much does it cost? How long does it take? Right? So it's very important that you handle that part of the conversation very carefully. You cannot answer it directly. If they're insistent about, no, but how much is it? No, but how much is it? Then, of course, you answer it and you take your chances. What you want to do, though, is you want to delay the answer until you can establish the value of what you've got to offer. And that's what the phone process is all about, right? So let's start the conversation again, and I'll show you the first part, and you guys can do it. Ring, ring, hypnotherapy clinic, how can I help you?
Hi, do you guys do stop smoking sessions?
Absolutely, yes, we do.
Good, how much is it?
Well, before I can answer that question, I need to know a little bit more about you so I can give you the proper information. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
So let's pause there. What have I just done? I've pre-framed what we're about to do, and I bought some time to ask some important questions to give me the chance to demonstrate genuine value. Does that make sense to you guys? So, seeing it's a simple question, I'm going to ask 2 more questions. You'll have 3 questions in total, just because they're really easy to rattle off. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah? So the first question is, in order to answer that, I need to know a little bit more about you. Is that okay with you? Yep. All right, the first thing is, how did you hear about us?
Well, I heard about you from my friend.
Great. So this is just a general marketing question. I want to put a tick on the sheet. This is not the same question as Joe was asking earlier. I'll ask that actually at the session itself. But this is just more to see, is it my advertising that's working? Is it my online site that's working? Is it a referral that's working? I won't know, right? I'll probably ask, which friend?
Oh, my friend, John.
Great. No, I'll just write that down. It's just my friend John. Kunk. Sorry, it's a hypnotic joke for those of you who do Ericksonian hypnosis. All right. So the next question is equally important. Are you calling about yourself, or are you calling on behalf of someone else?
I'm calling about myself.
Okay. Why am I asking that question? Any ideas? Because sometimes people do call for other people, and also because a lot of times people at the end of the call will say, oh, well, I was just asking for a friend, I just want to give information, because they feel they might be hard sold to. if you get them to commit up front, they're now committing emotionally to the conversation. And when they commit emotionally, the chances of them being interested in terms of seeing the value of what you've got will become more personal to them. In other words, it stops them from being dissociated during the conversation. See how that works? There's no 100% guarantee, but it collapses a lot of the problems you might have later on, right? So the 3 questions again are, before I can answer your question, I need to know a little bit more about you. Is that okay?
Yep.
Great. So first of all, how do you hear about us?
My friend John.
Great. And are you calling on behalf of yourself or for someone else?
For me.
Great. 3 questions, easy, yes? Off you go. So you've all at least had one go around, not necessarily both ways, yes? Okay. So we're going to run through the whole thing again, and we're going to add a little bit more what do you after that conversation. Remember, the 3 questions initially, the pre-frame buys you the right to ask more questions. Before I can answer that, I need to know more about you, right? The second question is just marketing to find out what's working. Where are you wasting your time and efforts on? What are you not wasting your time and efforts on? The third question is out-framing. Is it about you or someone else? Usually it's about themselves. They'll tell you honestly, it's about me. It prevents them from later on dissociating, saying, oh, no, I was just finding out, and getting cold feet, so to speak. In other words, this helps you build a bridge that they can cross to the relationship road later on. Okay? Quick question?
What if they're talking about themselves in the terms of I? Would you still ask that question?
If they are talking themselves in terms of I, I'll always ask the question because now they're having a public commitment. Okay. All right? It makes it worthwhile. It's just a nice routine to get into, okay. Right? So let's do the whole thing again, and we'll just deal with the next portion, which is the important part. So ring, ring, ring. The Hypnosis Center, how can I help you?
Do you do sessions for stopping smoking?
Absolutely, yes.
Good. How long do they take?
Slightly different question, right? Well, before I can answer that question, I need to know a little bit more about you. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay, great. First of all, how did you hear about us?
My friend John.
Fantastic. Are you calling about yourself or on behalf of someone else?
For me.
Oh, good, great. So I need to ask a few things about the problem, how you smoke and so on, to get a sense of what your problem is, right?
Sure.
So what's the problem? You're smoking, of course. How long have you been a smoker for?
17 years.
17 years?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And have you tried to quit before?
Yep, many times.
All right, so, and what happened as a result?
Well, I kept smoking.
You did, right? And how many different methods did you try?
I've tried everything. I've tried cold turkey, I've tried gums, I've tried patches. I even went to a doctor.
Right, and none of things seems to work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. That's great. And what's the result? I mean, what is the impact been on your life that you haven't been able to quit smoking? How does that impact in your life?
Oh, well, it's just really been horrible. I'm losing a lot of friends because they're not smokers, and
Right.
yeah.
Right. So it's a hard way of living
Yeah,
life.
I'm getting
right?
kind of lonely.
I can understand that. So what would it mean to you if you, if you just quit right now, what would that mean to you? If it's just easy and simple and you just were a non-smoker?
Oh, well, that would be pretty great. I'm a little skeptical. I've been trying for a long time to
Sure.
quit. But yeah, it would be really fantastic. I could hang out with a lot more friends and not be so lonely.
Fantastic. So there's a little time out there. So you get the idea of the questions we're asking. I don't want to give you specific questions because you want to have a genuine conversation. The nature of the questions are as follows. Number one, you're going to ask questions about the problem. How severe, how long, how often, that sort of stuff, right? Number two, you're going to ask them about their failure to resolve the problem. What have they tried? How have they failed? Basically, this reminding is revivifying to them what this whole problem really means, why they are coming for help in the first place. Because a lot of people will dissociate from their problem whilst they're not in it, and that's why they keep bouncing from, oh, I really should resolve this, and oh, let's forget about that, I'm kind of okay right now. Oh, I really should resolve it. You're trying to get them honed into, yes, I really want to solve this thing, right? Number three, you're asking a question around what not resolving the problem, how that's going to limit their life, how it damages them, how it hurts them, right? They need to know the consequences of not resolving the problem. And number four, reversing this side is, what are the consequences of resolving the problem? Why do they want to change now? This gives you leverage. Make sense? This will help you later on in the session too. So you understand the four types of questions that we're asking here? Now these will be done more in a conversational sort of setting, so you'll be having more of a chit-chat. So there are more maneuvers than specific questions you can ask, although when you get the resource guide, you will have some specific questions there, sample questions there for you also. But right now, I'd rather you invent questions that relate to the actual nature of the conversation you're having than get a rote piece to memorize. Does it make sense, everyone? Yeah? Go ahead. I just want to go over them very quickly. Sure. So generally speaking, you're going to talk about the problem. So the first one is talking about the problem in terms of how severe, how often, how long, how bad, just kind of getting a sense of what's the dimension of this problem, right? The second, and again, the order is not set in stone, it's just kind of how the conversation flows. The second is typically, for me, is typically, what do they try to resolve the problem? How have they failed to resolve the problem? This will inform them that they have failed and it's important for them to resolve it, and it will inform me of what not to do with them. Right? So there's some little notes I can take here. The third question is, what does that failure mean to them? In other words, how does not resolving the problem impact on their life? Right? So this is another motivating question. Well, if you don't resolve it now, remember, you'll have all these things as a consequence, right? It's up to you. The fourth question is for leverage, which is, what would resolving the problem mean to you? What it would do for you? Make sense? And that gives you leverage. Why do you want to, another way of asking the question is, why do you want to change? Right? Why have you chosen now to change? You're looking for the motivation, the leverage that makes them do that. Make sense, everyone? Yeah? So go ahead and start the conversation from scratch again. Race through the first few questions, because you don't really need to spend much time on them. Spend a little bit long on the actual questions. Again, not too long, because there's several more steps that I'd like you to get used to. So spend as little time per step as possible, just to get the feel for it. Off you go. So far, so good, everyone? Yes? How are your conversations flowing? Are you enjoying them? Okay. So, we'll just put this down here. So the fourth step, really, was talking about the problem, right? The fifth step in the sequence is to now establish the value of what you have. This is where it's very important for you to have gone through your USP profile, the empathy map that we showed with you on the first day, because that's what you have to tell them, right? So in essence, we're saying, okay, how long, how much, what do it mean to you, and so on and so forth. Well, we're experts at working with people of this age range to stop smoking in this way, right? We use a special method. If you're American, you say it's a European method. If you're European, it's an American method. The grass is always greener on the other side of the pond, right?
Use the Ledowski protocol?
Yeah. So this is how we teach our hypnotherapists. It's a unique method. It's conversation hypnosis. In fact, there's one guy who said exactly that with his clients, saying, oh, yeah, our hypnosis is totally different. It's conversation hypnosis. You wouldn't even know you're going to a trance. And people go, oh, really? Right? It's basically anything that establishes the value of what you've got. What makes you unique? What's your USP? What's your slogan? How does it apply to the person who's calling you right now? Does that make sense, guys? Right? So that's not something I can necessarily give you, I can give you any content for, but I can give you kind of the introduction to it if you like, right? So ring, ring, Hypnosis Center, how can I help you?
Hi, do you guys do stop smoking sessions?
Absolutely, we do, yeah.
Yeah, how long do those take?
Well, before I can answer that, it depends a little bit about who you are and how you are. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
Great. So how do you hear about us?
My friend John.
Fantastic. And is it for you or someone else that you're calling?
For me.
Great. So how long have you had this?
A long time.
Okay, and I'm just going to rush through these a little bit. And what have you tried to resolve it?
Everything.
Fantastic.
Everything else.
And how's it impacted your life not being able to stop?
It's terrible.
All right, and what would it mean to you to be able to change that?
It'd be awesome.
Fantastic. How much do you know about what we do?
Nothing.
That will always be the answer, right? Unless your referral partner has actually been giving them lots of information, in which case they're just ready to sign. It's like, I know how much it is, I know how much it takes, I just want to come, in which case you just sign them up. They will not know anything about you otherwise, right? Okay, fine. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do and why it works so effectively.
Cool.
Let me tell you about what we do and why it works so effectively, right? It's based on working with thousands of clients, not just with myself, but there's hundreds of hypnotherapists who use the same protocol all around the world, and this works great, especially for smokers.
Cool.
Now, I'm very excited to hear that you have failed with all these other methods because it means your unconscious mind is on the right track to resolve it for you. Because let's face it, you've resolved all kinds of things. You see I'm going to my spiel now. I'm presenting him what we're doing and how we're doing it and so on, right? I can't just tell you how that conversation, that part of the conversation will look. It's unique to the problems you're working with and the methods that you like to use and the USP that you're creating around yourself, right? Do you understand that the mentality behind all that whole thing? So we'll call that the value proposition, right? Seeing as that's something you're going to be inventing as you go along anyway, and you'll be refining as you develop your own practice. Shall we add one more step to this? Is that okay with you guys? Yeah? The conclusion of this, you've given them your presentation. You've told them about what you do, how you do it, why it's so much more effective, how it's going to work, and so on. Now you've got to bring it all down to a single clear point that they can understand, because really, when you give your presentation about what you do and why it's so effective, that to them will sound pretty much like Chinese. It's kind of like those pictures you see of you know, what man says to dog. You're a bad boy, you're not supposed to do this, Rufus, you can't have this, Rufus, or and what the dog hears? Blah, 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 Rufus, blah, 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 Rufus, right? What they will hear is blah, 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 hypnosis, blah, 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 effective, blah, 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 hypnosis, really, no matter what you say. Now, the unconscious mind needs to hear those things for certainty, but they will forget it all. So you now must give them a simple statement that they can wrap their minds around that will make sense to them. This is the conclusion of all that value, right? So, to demonstrate a little bit, so we use a special European method. It's specifically designed for smokers. It's been tested on thousands of smokers. It works great, not just for my own practice, but there's hundreds of hypnotists out there using the same method. And those that have tracked the results are getting results in the 99 percentile range. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
That is pretty
amazing. So all these skills are being focused on just one thing: pause.
What is it?
To make sure you stop smoking as quickly and easily as possible. Now, does that sound like something you'd like for yourself?
Yes, it does.
Do you see what we did there? The pause is important. It allows his mind processing time to go, what? The statement comes in, which is all designed to do one thing: pause. To help you stop this problem as quickly and efficiently as possible. Pause, let them process. Does that sound like what you were looking for? Right? It's an open question. If he says no, I want to find out why. If he says yes, it leads me straight into the booking part of the conversation. Does that make sense, guys? Do you see how that whole process works? Yeah. All right, guys. Spend just a few seconds on the opening thing, really just rattle through them or give a token statement, and spend your time establishing the value and concluding, making that conclusion at the end of that value statement. Off you go. Okay, how does conversations go? Are they good? Can you feel a natural flow within them? Yes? Let me just pass your mic there, Arthur.
So far, there's nowhere where the person said, well, how much is this going to cost? You're still going all the way down. You haven't answered how much it's going to cost.
That's what we're going to come on to right now. Right? We need to absolutely give them the price, especially because they've asked about it. So we haven't finished right now. So I jumped the gun a little bit in terms of the conversation here, just because I wanted to get the feel of where we're going with this. Before we go for the commitment, which is, does that sound like what you are looking for? You're going to give them, after conclusion, all this is going to be for you to help you stop smoking easily and quickly as possible. The next level is you need to prepare them for presenting the price. So you're going to give them a price comparison. You need to tell them what the price actually means that they're investing in this program. Right? A lot of people, here's how a lot of people think about money. They go to work, they get their paycheck, they spend all their money on things they need, like electricity and food and stuff like that, which is great. They fritter their money away on completely useless stuff they'll never use again, like shoes they'll never wear and clothes they'll never wear, and that orange clock that looks like a novelty orange that they'll never use, right? Like that weird piece of apparatus that they put in the garage and never actually use. In fact, they don't even know what it's for, but they bought anyways, right? People spend money on all kinds of random stuff. At the end of that month, they have nothing left, or they have maybe $100 left to put in the bank. So when you say, well, this is how much it costs, they go, oh, I can't afford that. Because their mind's instantly going, at the end of my month, I only have $100 left. I can't afford $200 because I don't have that. What they're not thinking about is all the money that they're wasting on $5 Starbucks coffees, right? $100 shoes they'll never wear, on, well, I don't know, whatever random, cigarettes themselves. Well, cigarettes is something special because you can make the price comparison very easily. I'm thinking about other things where they won't be thinking so much about it. For example, with food, you can make price comparisons about all the desserts that they're wasting their money on and all that kind of stuff as well, right?
But if they have something like stress.
Like stress, exactly. What do you compare? What are they paying for stress, right? It may be medical bills. Maybe they have increased insurance premiums and so on. So in terms of the price comparison, the simplest way of doing this is, if you have an obvious price comparison, like when you're smoking 20 cigarettes a day or 2 packs a day.
20 packs a day.
20 packs a day, yeah.
That's a lot.
You're a seriously dedicated smoker.
Yeah.
It's a very simple price comparison. Was it $5 a pack, $10 a pack? I don't know what it is nowadays.
It's actually closer to 8 or 10.
Okay, so
depending on
let's
where
say
you
$10
live.
a pack, right? So 2 packs a day, that's $20 a day, 7 days a week, that's $140 a week, times 4, that's over $500 a month on cigarettes, right? My program only costs $300, so you're already saving money before the first month is up. It's an easy price comparison to make. For most other things that are less tangible, you must make a price comparison in other ways. For example, for this method, for all these extra bonuses you're going to get, I'm going to give you a CD, a follow-up support, an email program that keeps you keep going, and so on. The whole package only costs $500 or $700. Now, when you think about how much money you spend on a holiday that you don't enjoy because you can't go on the beach because you're not the shape that you feel comfortable in, you spend those thousands of dollars to relax, and you don't actually relax properly. Whereas here, you'll discover that just with the $1,000 you invest in this program, you will totally transform as a person. As a result of which, you won't even need that holiday to relax because you'll feel comfortable or at home in your own skin. So you're making a comparison to what the benefits of them coming to you will be about compared to what they will be spending that money on otherwise. See how that works? That's an easy one for stress, for example, as well. Weight loss is an easy one for that. Exams is a great one, especially when parents are calling for their kids. How much is your kid's future worth? Right?
Everything for a parent.
So you just have to think about, but most people don't think in these terms. They literally just think, at the end of the month, I have negative income, because that's what most people overspend, right? So how are they going to afford your fees anyways? Mm-hmm. What you have to make palpable to them is, what is it that they're getting? They're getting not just this program and this follow-up support and all these other things and this guarantee that no one else is giving them. And ultimately, all that is serving to resolving this problem. And what is the real cost of this problem? You go on holidays and you can't enjoy them. You spend money on restaurant meals that you only need to go to because you want to feel better about yourself when you could just feel better about yourself and, and do sort of more on a frugal budget temporarily.
Yep.
Right?
A simple way that I think about this is the benefit of the benefit that they get.
Do you understand where we're going with this? I can't give you a specific thing to say because each situation will be different. That's why you talk about the problem first, because you're listening for what are the hidden costs of the problem, and you might even ask them about their lifestyle to find out, where are they wasting money. I remember I did some business coaching with some friends, and they said, we need X amount to just survive. And I thought, that's an insane amount. How do you figure that? And then they talk about, expenses and credit card debt and so on, which of course is expensive. And then they turn out that they go out, they dine out pretty much every day. Their restaurant fees or bills were huge. They were insane, right? So as soon as they figured out they're spending something like, I don't know, $3,000, $4,000 a month on restaurant bills alone, it's like, oh, great. So you're telling me you have $3,000 or $4,000 a month available to destroy the debt that's making you stay up at night. Is that what you're saying? Kind of. Well, think about it. Would you rather eat out in a fancy restaurant and stay stressed and have all the heart problems you've been talking about and all the emotional trauma and the health problems that come with that? Or do you want to get rid of all that stress, improve your health, and invest the money that you would have put into the restaurant into something that's actually going to make that happen. Do you see how we're doing a price comparison between where they're wasting money compared to the benefit of investing it in themselves to grow as a person and overcome the problem that's actually costing them a lot, both emotionally and sometimes financially too. Do you see what we're working with this? And that's where you've handled the price question. And that's why you have to wait to go through all this to handle the price question, because that doesn't make any sense until you have gone through all this, right? To the microphone, a quick question.
Typically, how long is this phone call?
Typically, how long is this phone call? How long is a piece of string, right? I'd say my average version of this would be 5 to 10 minutes, right? I'm doing most of the talking, I'm asking a couple of questions, zipping through it. You've pretty much seen the speed at which I go. That's pretty average for me, right? I don't chit-chat in between. Some clients, however, have more questions to ask, so it might be 20 minutes where you have to roll around and come back to the same issue. You'll go, oh, I don't know about this. Well, what is you don't know about? Well, you know, I'm not sure if, you know, this is something that, you know, I can afford, or I don't know if this will really work. Well, you know, remember we've got part of the price comparison, I put in a guarantee. Remember you have a lifetime guarantee. If at any point you need to come back, I'll work with you for free until the problem is resolved again. Oh, really? Yes, that's right. Because I want to make sure that you get what you need out of this, right? So you may need to just recycle the conversation a little bit, and that will, of course, take longer. Does that help?
Yeah.
Follow up?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's do this properly.
So I use the same model already. I'm just doing that with a free consultation in my office.
Sure.
As opposed to doing that over the phone. Do you find that it's just as effective if you're doing it on the phone?
For sure. I used to do the free consultation on the phone.
Yeah.
I used to offer free consultation on the phone, but then I was unfortunately, see, that's when I was experimenting with mind-bending language, and I started getting so good with mind-bending language that I fixed the problem in about 10 minutes of the phone chat, and they wouldn't book the session. So I stopped doing that.
So, so you could just do all of this over the phone, and there's no real, because my belief was at first was if they're coming into the office and they're already making that commitment to come into a free consultation.
Absolutely. Well, you'll find this, even if you do a free consultation, after this, you'll get more people coming to the free consultation than if you just offer a free consultation. Because this gets their investment.
Oh yeah, I do that over the phone before, but I don't even give them a price point until they come
Oh,
in.
I see. So you would say the price until afterwards? Yeah. Personally, as I say, I used to do that too. And let's put it this way. When you have so many people calling you to have a session, you'll want to weed out the people who are going to waste your time. So you'll basically say, this is the price. I mean, ultimately, what I'd like you to be, and I know some hypnotherapists who do this, that they're so busy, they'll go, look, this is what I do, this is what it costs, do you like that? No, well, that's okay, think about it and call me back if you want to, click. Because they know that as soon as they hang up, someone else will be on the phone who will say yes.
Right.
Especially with the referral partner process, you'll get such hot leads coming your way that the whole price issue really won't come up anymore. Initially, it's more of an issue because you have fewer leads coming your way, they're cooler leads, and so they're not quite as excited, and so, yes, you'll spend more time doing this stuff, so experiment with it.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Pass it behind you.
When you're doing it on the referral partner basis, do you actually tell the referral partner what your fees are?
Why not?
Yep.
Sure.
So they're
It's part of educating
when they're coming
them.
in, they're preempted, and it saves the whole question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
But they need to understand the value of what the fees are, not just the fee. They need to understand the whole process.
Part of building a relationship with a referral partner is walking them through a similar process like this and
So-
educating them about what you do.
Go ahead.
So, do you have to be the one to do this, or can you have a
No,
secretary?
absolutely.
trained
That's
to it?
can we hang on to that till right in the end of the session? We'll have a few minutes on that as well, because that's exactly where we're going with it. Okay? So everyone's happy so far with the idea of price and the sensitivity of price. I do know people who will not give price out on the phone. They will do what you were talking about. I just want you to be having so many phone calls that you're no longer price sensitive. You'll just do the best you can to set the price in its appropriate frame, and then weed out time wasters by just going on to the people who are going to be more interested, and your results will be better with those anyways. Make sense? So, once you've given the price comparison, then you go for commitment, which is something along the lines of, does that sound like what you were looking for, right? It's a very simple commitment, but you want them to voice the commitment because once again, it clicks the brain into a different state, into a different stage of action, right? At that point, you have two choices. If you say, is that what you were looking for, and they say no, your only task is to find out how come or what's missing, and then listen intently. Even if you never booked that client, that information will be critical to you. Chances are you messed up either stage 4 or 5. In other words, you didn't ask about the problem enough, you didn't understand them, you didn't demonstrate value enough, maybe you need to put extra bonuses in or something like that, or you messed up the price comparison and they don't understand what the value of that price really is, right? Those are the 3 things that in my experience typically go wrong, and you won't find out, I'll come to in a second, you will not find out until you ask them, how come, what's missing, what is it what's causing you to hesitate, right? Go ahead.
So what if they just don't have the money?
If they there's some people
really
say they don't
don't.
have it, and if they really don't have it, right? Well, then they can't pay for the program. It's simple as that, right? You have a choice to make at that point. Are you successful enough? Are you having enough income that you can do a pro bono, which is for free? As a rule, my pro bonos would always be in exchange for something. I need them to do something, maybe work for charity for a week before I'll work with them. And you'll be surprised with how many people who say, I'll do anything, but I just can't afford the fee. And you say, okay, great. My favorite charity is this. Go call this person up, work for them for a week for free, and then come back and I'll work with you for free. And very few people will follow up on that. It's typically an excuse. Ask for, please help me, please. And it tends to be an excuse. There are people who generally are hard up, but if they're willing to work for it, sure, I'm willing to work with them. But then that's after I've taken care of my own financial balance,
Right.
so that I'm not going to, I'm not going to go to a bankrupt because I'm helping everyone without actually helping myself first. It's a balancing act that you have to make that way. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay. Keep it. I'm sure you'll come back to it soon. So you understand the idea of the commitment, yes? Either they commit. If they don't commit, you'll get valuable information, or they do commit, in which case you can go on to the next step or the last step of the process, right? Finally, you'll come to the booking stage. If they've committed, this is what I'm looking for, you go, great. Well, I have the following dates available. Which suit you best? I leave an open choice like that. It's a slightly presumptive close. It's not a hardcore like, ooh, you must do it and all that sort of stuff. But if I'm going to get, if they're going to push back on that and go, oh, actually, I'm not ready for that yet, that's fine. Then I'm going back to well, what's missing? What's happening there? Otherwise, well, these are the dates I have available. This is now a transactional point because they already said they're looking for this, right? Does that whole system make sense to you? Say again? So conclude. Sorry, say again? Oh, you're just telling him? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So, do you understand the whole process here? Yeah. Right? With a booking, of course, you'll take the booking straight away. If you have the facility for taking credit cards, take a deposit. Because just because someone's committed to a particular date does not mean they'll necessarily turn up. Right? So take a deposit, that makes it much more likely they will turn up. And that's pretty much the whole phone process. Easy? Yes? Yes. Now, to Arthur's question over here, do you have to do this all yourself? No. You can train your secretary or virtual personal assistant, or I know people who've trained their sisters who are stay-at-home mums or their mothers who are just home alone, I guess, to run this sort of process. What you need to do, however, is you need to drill them just like you've been drilling, practice and listen to their answers, because they will not care about your business like you do. So if they're half-hearted about these answers, they cannot take that phone call. They will ruin the interaction. I would also strongly recommend that once you've trained them and tested them and they're running the phone calls, that you ask some friends to randomly call them up, people whose voices they don't recognize, to take a booking, to test them out from time to time, because the excitement will erode. Again, it's not their business, so you have to keep them on their toes. If they do a good job, reward them. Maybe give them a little bonus and say, you know what, this last week I had some really great feedback about your voice manner, your phone manner. I just want to appreciate you for doing that, right? And that can keep them motivated. But don't do it randomly. Do it if they're genuinely doing a good job. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? Does that help? Any questions? Yes, it is. There you go.
So when you're booking them, depending on the issue, are you going to talk about package programs, individual sessions?
Let's deal with that on day 4, okay? But yes, absolutely. Can you pass it backwards to Tristan?
So many people want to help pass it around. My question is, What if you are busy, driving, sleeping, or doing something you can't answer the phone and you can't answer in person? What's the best? Is
You
it
will
best to
lose
have
that
a 1-800?
client. It's just a fact of life, right?
Yeah.
If you can have a voicemail with some information on it, and some people will leave their details and you call back, but it's relatively rare. I mean, you might get 1 in 20 people that way. I don't know what your experience is like that. I mean, it's hard to track, of course, right?
Yeah. I actually do track it, and I get about 1 in 20 people that have to leave a message.
Right. So you'll lose a lot of clients. Your best bet is have a phone number that diverts to a virtual personal assistant. You can get them. You can get someone with a decent English levels, like in the Philippines, for example, for $3 to $5 an hour. Which, by the way, is not extortionate. In the Philippines, that is a high-level professional salary along the levels of doctors and lawyers. So they're getting a lot of money for their local economy. You train them up in this process. Your number diverts to them. They take the booking. They keep the diary for you, and they'll send you the diary and a regular update as to what bookings have been taken. And if you can't afford it yet, you just do your best. Right?
So always have somebody personally answer the phone saying hello.
To the extent that you can, yes. There is no substitute for a personal telephone conversation. No substitute. However, I realize there are physical constraints sometimes, in which case you just have to take it on the chin and lose some clients until you can afford to put a system in place to stop losing those clients. This is where wealth is actually a very valuable thing. The more you earn, the more you can afford the systems that will allow you to actually attract even more clients and more clients and more clients. That's how you sort of escalate the funnel of success. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys, any other questions, or shall we have a break? I hear the music calling over there. So for now, yeah. So for now, before we finish up, a couple of quick things. We're into the session right now.
One of the scariest moments in most hypnotists' arsenals of things that they get an opportunity to play with and try and have a lot of fun with when they're working and interacting with people. Direct, rapid, or instant inductions, right, has had for decades, if not hundreds of years, sort of an interesting philosophy from an outside person's perspective of magic and mysticism and all the rest of that stuff. And I hope that after the next 15 or 20 minutes, you guys are going to have a completely different perception on your ability to not only walk up to anybody anywhere and drop them into a really nice state of hypnosis, but to begin to develop your own confidence around that experience, not only for yourself, but for all the future clients you all will be developing. Does this sound like something you guys might be interested in hearing about? Yeah? How many of you guys were actually scared when this type of thought of you having to walk up to somebody and do an instant induction scared you a little bit, or... Okay, cool. Very good. Well, today I'm going to teach you what's called the CAST system, but before we do that, I want to say thank you to Igor first for allowing me the stage and the opportunity to do this. Thank you. You guys will notice that some of the system that I'm going to teach you guys today does tap into a lot of the principles that Igor speaks very highly of, not only in his conversational hypnosis products, but as well as the street hypnosis seminars and products he's done in the past as well. So the first thing I want you guys to do is we're just going to stand up. So everybody just go ahead and stand up. And I want you to walk up, and I want you to just find a partner. So walk up and introduce yourself. Okay, good. Eyes up here. Good. Eyes up here. How many people were nervous about introducing themselves? Clowns. Okay. This first part right here, believe it or not, is a pre-frame or a setup for what you're actually going to be doing. Okay, so this time what I want you to do when you walk up and introduce yourself, and I actually am going to have you change and move around the room, we're going to have you introduce yourself to at least 2 or 3 different people, is I want you to begin to hold one thought inside of your mind, and that is, here we go. Okay, and in fact, right as you're walking around the room to find that person, I want you to do this with your hands, and inside your head, I want you to go, here we go. Okay, go ahead. Go introduce yourself to 2 or 3 people. Time out. Eyes up here. Well done, you guys. We're going to do 1 or 2 more people. This time, the here we go you say inside of your head has got to sound like, ooh, here we go. Okay? So I want you to take that tone of voice, and I know you've had that inside of your head before, and I want you to do that inside of your head as you go around. 2 more people. Go. Time out, eyes up here. Time out, eyes up here. How are you feeling right now? Okay, you're going to do this with 2 more people. This time I want you to add something inside of your head and that is you are about to have the most unbelievable experience with me. So it's here we go, and develop a little movie inside of your head of them having the most unbelievable, life-changing experience with you, and it's only going to take 5 minutes. Go. Hear this. Time out, eyes up here. In fact, the cool thing is that the longer you guys take to come back up here, the more fun I know you're having. Okay, so here's another part of this setup, okay, because this is all set up so far, right, is I want you to pick one quality about the person you're shaking hands with that you genuinely, sincerely appreciate about them. Okay, you don't even have to know them. If you walk up and you go, I really like your outfit today, but it has to be sincere. Okay, it has to be sincere, but you guys are going to notice the sincerity is much easier when you're coming from this here we go spot. Okay, go. Eyes up in front. Good job, you guys. You guys having fun? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Just want to make sure. When you guys are saying this compliment, right, the very next thing I want you to say to them is, have you ever enjoyed hypnosis before? Okay, it's an MBL question, but most people go like this. You're starting from there, okay? Have you ever enjoyed hypnosis before? Go. So, are you guys ready to move this to the next level? Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys just did what's called compliment and question. Okay, I actually found that when you introduce yourself, you don't even actually have to say your name to anybody. That when you compliment them and you find something beautiful about them that comes from a sincere place, they're already connecting with you. And when you ask them a question, if they go to answer the question, you're already building rapport. So I've done several street hypnosis sessions without actually having to introduce myself at all. Okay? In fact, I prefer to introduce myself after the experience when they go, who are you? Okay? And at that point in time, the business card comes out and I give them my name. And now they're linked. Does this make sense? Yes? So, what most hypnotists I've met, including myself, have a major issue with is giving short, sweet commands. Okay, so what you are going to do when you introduce the next person, you're going to go through the same spiel very quickly, as fast as you can, and you're going to give them one short, sweet command. Stand right here for me. Could you just take a step back? Find balance between your feet. Short, sweet, easy commands. Go. You guys having fun? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys are. You know what really is awesome from this perspective is you guys are playing. Okay, that's the feeling that you guys can allow yourselves to have every time you do this, is that you're having an opportunity to play with somebody else. When I was a kid, walking up to somebody on the playground and going, hey, do you want to be on the swing? Do you want to go hang on the swings or something like that? I didn't build up some anxiety about that. As long as I was playing and I wanted them to play too, everything was phenomenal. Okay, so as long as you keep that inside of your mind, this is going to get even easier. Okay, so what do you guys notice is that you guys are actually asking for compliance. Okay, go ahead and stand right here. Okay, and what you're doing is keeping your eyes open for whether or not they do it immediately. If there is any hesitation at all whatsoever, give them another one. Right? Oh, don't worry about this. Just take a deep breath for a second. This is going to be so much fun. You're going to enjoy this, aren't you? Okay, these are all simple, easy compliance that stack on top of each other. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. You have 30 seconds. Go. You guys are doing absolutely phenomenal. Who'd like to add one more step to this? Okay, awesome. This is real simple and easy. All I want you to do is absorb their attention. So you give them a piece of compliance, 2, maybe 3. The next suggestion you give them is to absorb their attention in you and only you. That can be short and simple. It can be look right here. It can be pick a spot on the wall, right? It can be pay attention to a thought that you're having inside. It can be anything that absorbs their attention on one single thing. Seem simple? Good, go. Awesome, you guys are doing great. Okay, so I've been noticing some people give an absorb. How many people are telling somebody to absorb attention and you're watching their eyes move around, or they might be shifting from their feet, they might be doing a little something right there. This is a perfect opportunity for you to pause. I'm going to repeat that. This is a perfect opportunity for you to pause. The biggest mistake I made is I just kept talking very quickly. Okay? When you give them an opportunity to absorb attention, who else should be absorbing attention? You. What you will be doing is telling their unconscious mind with your unconscious mind, we're playing together, do what I'm doing. Okay? If this is follow the leader, you're going first. Okay? It's like Simon Says without having to say anything. Okay? Remember that tip and that trick. Anytime you give a suggestion, give them opportunity for them to actually follow and join you where you're at. Does this make sense? Yeah? Fun? Now, the big moment. The thing we all normally pay attention to that most people miss, this is the suggestion. Okay? Sleep. I could spend the next half an hour, 45 minutes explaining to you why sleep works when you say it, but just take my word for it, okay? It's trained societally, from social psychologically. Anytime somebody sees a show by a hypnotist, this is the thing they remember, okay? So all you're going to do is absorb their attention. Take a breath. When you see them calm down, look at them and say, sleep. Not sleep. Sleep? Please sleep. Okay? When a drill instructor stands up in front of people, right, the military that's standing in front of you, he goes, drop and give me 10? Please drop and give me 10? Drop and give me 10. Just give them the command. Okay? You got a minute. Go. Well done. Very well done. How many people are finding it that the sleep thing just isn't going over the way they expected it to go over? How many people are finding that they need a little something extra, some icing on the cake? Okay? The icing on the cake can be one of 2 or 3 things that I pick. A pass, okay? A handshake, or a tap. Okay? Now, the places you can do this, and we're going to practice them really quickly, pick one and only one. As I reach out, I grab a hand, like I'm handshaking, and I just add this. This is a little pull, not a jerk, not a yank. It's a pull. Okay? When you do that pull with the word sleep at the same time, you're going to find that sleep suggestion goes in a lot deeper, a lot faster. Okay? The other thing you can do is you can do what's called a hypnotic pass. Does that make sense? You can take your hand and you can just run it over. Why don't you just sleep? Okay? Don't come back. Yeah, stay with me, okay? Look at who I picked. Okay, and the last one is a tap. Okay, and that is you merely take your middle finger. Everybody show me middle finger. You're going to reach up right behind the head to the spot where the skull meets the neck. Okay, and all you're going to do is lightly tap. Okay, it's a quick movement, the same as the little pull you do with your hand. You guys think you can do this? Easy? You got a minute. Go. How many people found that much easier this time? You guys spread in the middle for me? Awesome. Thank you so much. How many people found that much easier this time around? Very, very good. Remember that if I had much more time, we could go in depth and into detail in every one of these steps. This is just sort of something your brain and unconscious mind can begin to stick in as a framework so that in the future, when you see it more and more, all of that stuff gets filled in. Does this make sense? Yeah, everybody got that? Okay, good. The next step is really just a transition. It's a transfer. It's trance. Okay, and that is once you have sleep as the suggestion given perfectly, you can literally just deepen them. And all that means is go deeper. Got it? Plain and simple. Go deeper. Think you guys can do this easily? You want to have fun playing with it? Okay, you got a minute. Go. Who's finding themselves better at doing this thing than they thought they would be? How many people are noticing that the fear is completely gone? The fear that originally was there before you started this, how many people are finding it out the door? How many people are finding themselves getting them into a nice trance much easier than they expected? Okay, good. It gets even better the more you practice. Got it? Much easier. You guys ready for the last step? Okay, it's real simple and real easy. Expand the experience. Okay, so you've deepened them. Now just expand the experience. And you guys have a lot of different ways you can do that. Since a lot of you are therapists, you can give them a lot of positive things like confidence, joy, peace, anything you want to give to them as an expanding part of their experience, you give them as a gift. Now, when you do this on the street, you can also do a whole lot of other stuff, but that's going to be a different freebie and a different giveaway on a different day. Okay? So what I want you to, right? So what I want you guys to do is just take 10 seconds after you've deepened them to expand their experience somehow, expand their minds, allow them to see something they haven't seen before inside of themselves and beyond. Something easy you can do. Yes? Now, you ready for the real quick step? It's just immediately after that. End it for them. Okay? It's not nice to go completely stand here and feel confident. Take it easy. Okay? At the end of that, what you want to do is end it by bringing them back. Okay? You can do this by counting. You can do this by talking to them. You can merely give it as a suggestion to have them just come back into the room now. Okay? Whatever way feels the most natural and easy for it to come out of you while you continue to play. Do that. Okay? You got 2 minutes to get all of this. Go. Good. How many people are actually finding themselves playing? Okay. If you guys want to have this on video for you, I'm going to have a list in the back of the room that I would love your names and email addresses put on. So on your next break, take that opportunity to go back there and make sure that you guys sign on that list for me. So if you guys pay attention to this, compliance, attention, suggestion, transition, and experience and end. It spells cast, C-A-S-T-E. Okay, what you're doing is casting people inside of your life, and you are becoming a cast member for their life. Because if you give them the experience you have intended for them through this easy process, it's going to be such a memorable experience they can carry with them for the next hypnotist that they meet. What you're doing is paying it forward, not only to yourself, but to every hypnotist they meet for the rest of their life, so that every positive suggestion they receive goes that much deeper. I'd like to thank you guys all for having me up here. I appreciate all of the time. Remember that the list is in the back of the room.